Welcome to the Four Corners series for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic, and we're picking up on the 9th of November 1937. Before we get in the gameplay, I need to talk about a couple of things because they're particularly which relate to the long-term success of this series, or lack of is probably the better term. Probably the best way to explain it is the devs have released Community Report 41. This was released on the 20th December 2021 if you're watching this in the future. And in this report, it's an update of the current state of the crime and justice update. And they seem to have run into some balancing problems with respect to happiness and productivity. What we're probably looking at is the final release into the stable branch in the new year. But at the same time, the devs are suggesting that there is a possibility that we may get access to the first beta release in the next week, which is going to be quite interesting, although it may be a little bit rough, is probably the polite way of saying it. That immediately means I need to rethink what I'm doing with these series, but at the same time, I'm not sure if it was a planned coincidence. Bill Joe has done a 3-hour live stream where he's previewing the new Crime and Justice update. And I'll be honest, I haven't watched all of it. I've watched about half of it at the moment, but some of the things he was talking about makes me a little bit worried, not for just this series, but also for the Seven Crosses series. So I just want to talk about some of the things he highlighted, just to give you guys some context. But I'm not going to go into vast detail. But I think probably one of the relevant things he did is he was able to do a full demonstration of how the crime and justice system will work. As expected, the police stations will work exactly the same way as the secret police. They will have an area of coverage, and they will have actually have police cars in as well. If I come over here, what you'll see is when you buy a vehicle, there's now going to be two new categories. One's called police cars, and one's also called prison buses, which has certain implications for an early start if they're not available. And I also wonder whether the security police vehicles will move into that category as well. And the way the police cars will actually operate is exactly the same as with the secret police. They will go out, wander around and check the various buildings. And of course, in these buildings, I don't think it actually shows in here. I think you've got to look at the individuals. You see people have a propensity towards crime here. And then if they find a crime, they will arrest the person and investigate it. And what actually happens is that each investigated crime shows up in the police station as an individual bar. Now, I don't know whether there's an upper limit to the number of crimes the police can investigate. And then once the crime has been investigated, the criminal is then teleported to a courthouse. Now, as far as I can tell, there is only a need for at least one courthouse on the entire map. But, and it's a very big but, that if that courthouse fills up, because it will have a limited capacity, then you're going to need to build a second. What you're going to need to do is possibly start with a single courthouse and then expand it as your level of crime develops. One of the implications for that is the fact that if you constructed everything from scratch, now these are very big buildings, which has got another consequence for this series, because they will be both expensive to build, and where the heck, I think somebody's already mentioned this in the comments, where I'm going to put these the police station in, and then of course we're going to need a big courthouse somewhere, and they're also pretty expensive to build. Once the criminal arrives at the courthouse, then they are tried, and then once they're convicted, they are then teleported to a prison. And the prison works exactly the same as the courthouse. You need a minimum of one on the map to take your criminals, because as far as I can gather, if there isn't a prison to put them in, what happens is they escape. And one of the consequences is that they will return to where they were before, and their return will reduce happiness. Well, that's the impression I get. So again, with prisons, it's going to be a question of building prisons across the map, which has got an advantage in the sense that if, say I wanted to put a prison up here to run the mines, we can put a prison here, then any convicted criminal all across the map will go to the prison, and any convicted criminal on the map will go to that prison to work in the mines. And what seems to happen is that they will stay in that prison for a certain length of time and then return to the community. So they don't disappear completely. which is going to be quite an interesting concept to manage. So that's the general structure of the way that the crime and justice update will work. Now, the sting in the tail is that the devs are reworking happiness, productivity, and health. And this is where my main concern is going to be, because I get the impression that it's going to completely change our gameplay. Now, I don't want to get deeply into the mechanics because, to be honest, I don't know enough about them and they are subject to change. But I just want to talk a little bit about how it will work and how the potential impact on this series will be. And probably the best way to explain it is to put it into context of what is going on at the moment. If I get the this up here and click happiness, you'll see that virtually every building in my community, even over here where in Titusville we got pollution, they're all running at 99%. And that is purely on the fact that if we go in here, click on the building, you'll see they've got food, clothes, and access to sport and all that. Well, what's going to be happening when the new update comes out is providing the basics will only get you to 80%. And then that will cap out, and I'm assuming that cap may change according to game difficulty. The days of running at 100% with just the basic resources is over. Now, to get above 80%, well, as far as I can tell, will be similar to loyalty. You've got to provide TVs, radios, and also probably have to increase the loyalty up to a certain high level, which is going to be interesting. But more intriguing is that the characteristics of alcohol are going to be revamped. That to get high happiness, you're going to need to give people alcohol, so I suppose they can go out and celebrate. But of course, that will have a consequence because that will affect health. Therefore, if you want high happiness, you're going to have to accept a lower health because you're going to have to give them alcohol. So that means that the one solution fits all is going to come to an end with the next update, because happiness increases productivity, but health produces growth. So, and you can't have both. So what we're going to need to do is try and get a balance. And my initial impressions is that, say, we'll use the context of these villages here, is that what you could have is like a small community like New Hope here, that's a farming community. They've got a little bit of small industry, which is going to be quite happy 80% with the corresponding drop in productivity, because productivity is tied to happiness. That's another little trick that's going to be linked in. So you're going to have a town that's less productive, but it will have a high birth rate, and that will then provide the new residents for the rest of the community. And then, say for example, over here, where you want high productivity to run your mills and your mines, what you have is give people alcohol so they work harder, but of course that will result in low health, which means you're going to get less growth. So that is going to be the way we're going to need to manage the overall economy. One of the things that devs have mentioned is that if you do get low productivity, it will have an impact on shops and buildings like this. So at the moment, I don't know if we can find somebody's productivity. Where's the productivity in here? You doesn't always seem to see it. Let me just see. Maybe we need to go in here. We can find someone's productivity. At the moment, because I've got high happiness, the average productivity of the workers in this place is 89% or 88%. But if you imagine that the productivity drops because the happiness is lower, what you're going to do is if you've got 13 servers in here, they're going to serve less people. And if the productivity drops really low, say down to about 30%, that is going to give a real problem here, because what you could get is all 20 servers in here, but you won't serve the required number of customers. So what is in there is a potential death spiral. And I think this is what the devs are trying to work on at the moment, to try and get that balance correct. And I think I better stop there, as this whole video is going to be about the new update. I just wanted to talk about that simply because, based on what I've seen, is I can't see this series surviving past the beta test phase. In fact, I can see it could become an example of how not to do it. So I'm not going to stop the series immediately, but what I'm going to do is try and get the series into some form of robustness, which is going to be a bit tricky, because I'm starting to feel that the new Crime and Justice update is going to have quite an impact on early starts, especially if we don't get the modded versions of police stations, courts and prisons, because they are very big and very expensive buildings. Now, let's move on and say a big thank you for your comments and feedback. You guys give me so much to think about. Now, in the last part, we had a bit of a queue over here, and somebody rightly pointed out that I should be delivering gravel. And after I finished the video, I came here and had a little bit of a shock, because this gravel store had been completely full for a long time, and it was right down, and it only had less than 10 tons of gravel in here. And I was looking around, and I came over to the rock crusher, wherever you are. Where are you there? And this was going full power, and I couldn't work out what happened. And I think then I realized that I made a bit of a fundamental mistake by switching this on and setting it on auto detect. And what it's actually done is it's gone absolutely pear-shaped, and it stole all my gravel, because it's literally, the trucks have gone out, and if I click through the buildings, you'll see that what's actually happened is that it effectively stole all the gravel and what asphalt to put into all these buildings that it detected. I haven't bothered to switch this off, simply because the damage is done. But I think this is a good example that when you're running very small industries like this, it can give you a little bit of a problem. I'm running this on auto detect, especially in an area like this where I've done so much planning. So you probably find, yeah, see everything down here, all these buildings got the minimum gravel in them and things like that, and everything's being delivered all over the place. So we're gonna have to try and put some catch up into this process. So there's a little bit of a hard lesson learned there, and I think I've got that under control. And somebody quite rightly pointed out is I do overload my construction offices. It is a bad habit, I do accept that, but there's not much I can do. Now, if you watched the previous video, you'll be aware that I did this, and I don't think we're going to get much from this farm here. In fact, we haven't got anything at all. None of. Oh, we haven't got any trucks in here, have we? Well. Oh, there's no point getting trucks up in here now. It's too late. So we've lost these crops here, but hopefully we detected a few more buildings. But what we're going to need to do is get some more actual proper trucks up into this area. But the trouble is the trucks will have nowhere to deliver because this isn't being built. This is turning into a little bit of a disaster. And of course we've got the snow going. And it's actually a little bit inopportune, actually, because somebody also posted a comment about using one-way roads and roundabouts, and I just want to look at those. Again, it's a bit of an aside, but the other thing I'm kind of taking away from the problem on this main road here is that I was just going to speed up since we're in winter now. We've got last track. Is that I don't think putting these minor industries off the main road was such a good idea. What I should have done is built an industrial estate with all these in, so there would be room for them to queue without obstructing the main road here. I think that's going to be a bit of a problem, and to be honest, I'd completely redo everything here. So that is there. Now somebody said about building roundabouts. Now I've got no idea, and in fact what I would like in this game is similar to what they got in City Skylines, where road junctions and rail junctions are assets, because I'm going to give it a go just out of curiosity, because ready to build a roundabout, assume that you're going to have to do something like this. Now I'm going to be completely honest on we could get here. I've never really tried this, but we could do that. And then what we'd have to do is assume we trim that back, and then can we, oh, look at that, we can do that. We'll just start the construction. Of course, what we can't build is slip roads. You'd have to build a roundabout like this. Oops. too steep an incline yet. Well, this is just a demo test thing. We'll just accept that. But it'd be really great if you could actually import these. But I suppose one option is that once you've got this here, and you could actually pick one of these up and clone it. But looking at this, you're not going to get an in-road and an out-road. So what you'd have to do is probably, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I just wanted to experiment a little bit with this. Say, for example, we took that out. What you could do is come out a bit like that. Then you could take a road. Oops. I would do it this side. Hopefully it would stay green. You could then put that, and that. And then what you could have is a one-way road coming in here. But they're always going to be T-junctions. So I have to admit, I'm yet to be convinced that. I mean, I'll be honest. I've seen maps where people have used roundabouts and one-way roads, but given the fact that there's not a lot of personal transport in here unless you permit it, I'm yet to be convinced whether that is actually justified. But with the increase of vehicles moving around, because of course in our cities going forward, we're going to have secret police, ordinary police running around, and of course if you want to get your happiness up, you're going to have to provide personal cars as well. And of course to get your happiness up, you're going to have to provide personal cars, which means you're going to have to create the concept of a party of elite as well. So that is going to be something that maybe traffic management is going to have to be something that we're going to need to look at in the future going forward. It's so many things to think about. And it's probably worth mentioning that with this new update that we're going to have to throw the rulebook away, especially for hard starts, and effectively learn the game again. And what I'm considering, I've been kind of thinking about it. I know I should be playing, but I just want to get this off my chest while it's still in my head, is that what I might be doing over the next couple of weeks, once it goes in into the beta test branches, I might be trying to set some tests up with different things to see how how the happiness and productivity and everything else interact with each other. Anyway, let's just get down to some actual gameplay. We're actually in winter now, which is probably not particularly that good. What we do have down here now is one of our fish farms here. You've got crops and woods, and what we can do now is add wood distro here. We can add you there, and you can put 89 wood in there. I think you are distributing medium farm, fish farm there, so, and you need to put crops into there and put that to 50%, and then what we need is this guy to pick up the meat from here. You can load the meat from here, so we get. Oh, now the next problem I've got is workers. We've got no bus stop here. We are getting a few that are coming down to here, so we might actually get. I think I've put a bus on this one because it's just out of range. But what we may be able to get is the occasional ones, workers strolling down here once we get deliveries, and we get the fish farm going. I must admit, I'm a bit of a convert to fish farms. How much have we got in the way of crops? Oh, it's pretty dire. But we do have. Where's all the food gone? We got 24 tons of food in there. We got 161 in there, and we got 5 tons in there. Got 90 tons in there. I think we may need to hang on to that because we're only in December and we're already running out of crops. And we got over here, we got some crops here. Crops just seem to be disappearing into thin air. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tractors, and we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fields up and running. But the main problem is over here. Let's see if you've got... Okay, you've got bulk supply here, but no workers. And this is a mess. We're gonna put... You're working there. But I think what we are going to need is road crew on here. Is this the road crew? This Titus road crew. If we can get New Hope road crew is. I think the problem is everybody is a little bit overloaded. Okay. Health is 84%. Population is, we got no over 21, so that's acceptable. What is the population situation? We've actually lost some population. We're getting some escapees. We've also got more deaths and births. Oh, this is not good. Don't know if I've got any problems. Let's sample some of the random houses. As I say, pubs are going to become even more important going forward. Now, this area was originally meant to be my area for the police station, the courthouse. I think I was a little bit optimistic with the amount of space. I think I could probably get the police station in here, but I'm not. I don't think I'm going to get a courthouse here. Well, we might be able to with a little bit of shoehorning, especially if this isn't built. So it looks like this one has, oh no, it's been picked up. So we've got that area there. But I think from the perspective of this area, we would probably have to take a field down here and try and get the court out. What we'll have to do is take the field out here and try and get a police station in here. The question is, where would I put a... And we could probably do the same over here for a courthouse. Possibly might get it in there, though again it's still a little bit tight. Wow, this guy's actually detected all the way out here as well. We've actually, yeah, so we're actually sucking the over 21s into here, which is good. Oh yeah, and something else I picked up on watching the live stream. It was a bit of an aside. Which I didn't know about the new loyalty mechanic. That is what it was said, was that if your average loyalty is less than 50%, the students don't pick anything up from the teachers, which is completely wrong with what I thought was assuming how loyalty actually worked. It might explain why my loyalty is not growing. But so if your average loyalty is below 50% of, I assume it's of all the teachers in here, the students just gain their own loyalty in the normal way. But that will change with the next update. So what there's, and the impression I get is that the way I thought the loyalty worked is that if you've got a teacher in here with a loyalty of 36%, they would pass it on to their students. Should be working. So that's something else I'm going to need to test. I'm actually building up quite a long list of things that I actually need to test, and I've kind of gone a little bit adrift here with what I'm supposed to be trying to do. But of course, I hadn't realised that we were going to be in the depths of winter, and of course, not much happens in winter. What we can do is just take a look at what is actually being built. I'm assuming we've got a certain amount of coal is low. We got steel in here, but I'm just wondering, we've got 10 tons of steel there, but and we got 1 ton of steel here, and we got a pile of bricks there. So let's just have a look at the cableway. So we've actually built these parts of the cableway. This one still needs to be built because of course it's that bit there, but I'm just wondering whether we've got enough mechanical components. Buildings without power supply. Did I set this up for a pickup? I just want to go and check that I've got mechanical components, because I'm not getting that much from the what we call it, the blacksmith anymore. Oh, we got 14 tons at the moment. I mean, the blacksmith now has become almost redundant. I think this is sort of passengers, and we'll send you up to, yeah. What I really need is some covered holes. We got 1 million. Let's just get a couple of covered holes, which, let's see what we got in the way of covered holes. I really could do with something with a little bit more carry capacity. 3.2 tons, that's going to get a lot of crops in from the field. We got this thing here for 35,000 for 6 tons. Need to think, if I got the distro offices built up here. No, not finished. Have I got any distribution offices in here at all, actually? Doesn't look like I've actually got something in here. Well, we've got a distribution office here. We're going to need to assign you. We need these built. At least one anyway. There's another one, but that's not finished. Okay, this is not going to be that efficient. I suppose at the very least, if we could get one distro office up here running, what we could do then is at least send some of the crops down to this warehouse, this silo here. Back to the... Well, at least the power plant is holding up. Again, this is going to be one of the issues with low productivity once the new update comes out. We've got a power plant like here with 39 workers in, and they've got low productivity. So they could have a potential productivity of, you could say, 10 workers. It's gone up to 40. So this is something you need to consider, and I think this is going to have to be something that you may need to take into account when you're planning a new building, where you would normally say, well, I need exactly this. What you might going to need is a kind of overestimate for low productivity, because if the productivity is going to be lower, you're going to need more workers in the building, especially in the early part of the game when happiness could be low anyway. That you're going to need more workers in there, or multiple buildings, to provide the same amount you'd get from one building, and that could be quite an issue. I think you're close to the bad weather, but we should now have other forms of... We've got a small theatre over here that should fill that gap now. Let me just see. I mean, this area here is good. We've got this area here, nothing's been built up here. I just would like to get this done. Is there a tower in here? Yeah, there is, but there's no road to it, so... Oh, it's a bit of a fail here. Oh, so there is a road here. I just can't see it. Okay, who's working on this road here? That road actually... The road's finished. Just needs someone working on this tower, and what he needs is mechanisms again. You do have buses, don't you? Yeah. That's the gas. I can't remember. Obviously, he's got buses here. So he's only got a few buses. We've got, given the number of jobs he's got, it's going to take a little while to get round to it. I think what I am going to do is we're going to come into here. And we're going to, if I can find that tower again. I think we're going to get... Construction's already complete. Is already complete. That's complete. We are getting there. We just... We, so you just need workers. Great. This is... Late. And wait. I don't want tourists. I don't want that there. In fact, I don't even want anyone in here just at the moment. Because you're a wasted resource. This is annoying me a little bit. Oh no, this is the underground pipeline. How's that going? That will bring the heating plant down to here. So this is coming together. Oops. On the topographic map off. Didn't notice it at first when I turned it on by accident. We got our gravel supply here. Let me just go and see how well the gravel's recovering now. Let me just see. Oh, we're out again. The thing that gets me is these guys are just sat here. They should be the ones picking up from here. I think the problem is that we're not getting enough trucks running here to get into here to fill this up, which will then take it up to the other store. See, he's... Because we need to keep... And what's happening is that because we've obviously moved from the gravel phase to the asphalt phase now. Yeah, so you're picking up very tiny amounts of asphalt, which is then we're in the asphalt phase now. Oh, it's all gone so badly wrong. And I had such high expectations for this series. Have I got that? Nope. Have I got that on that off as well? Must have pressed all the wrong buttons. Of course, we got Father Frost's workshop here that's waiting. He needs gravel, but there's no gravel to be had at the moment. Oh well, that's the way it goes. I think here we're actually getting a supply of meat, so in theory we shouldn't be importing any meat. Why are we importing meat? We imported 3 tons of meat. So who is importing meat? And of course we're going to have to try and find them, because we better start here. Where's the store? Nope, it's above, isn't it? Right, who is actually... Is meat to Titus? That's materials to Titus. Right, so actually it's probably this. Oh, yeah, bringing up clothes. This is the guy this is the offending perk. Oi. Pause. I think we could quite happily put you directly onto, if I can find, oh, thank you game. We can find the and remove you. So you are now got Titus meat pickup, unload. If we go over here, he's disappeared. We need to make sure. Is he in there? I'm sure he was over here. Let's go back to trying to find out where enough he is. we've got to make sure that he's delivering to here, else we'll be in trouble. Automated vehicles. Okay, he actually bought some meat while I was messing about. What he should do is not import any more meat after that. So that covers that guy. We'll go to Titus next. And where are you? We need to get you. I think what we'll do actually is set you load there, load there, remove North Cape trading. So what you can do is come in here and pick up whatever you get and then take it to there, because I mean we got small, we got 4 tons of meat here, so this is not running because it can't export it, so we might as well try and get this sorted out. Oh, they all like this. I thought I'd fix them. Where are you? Okay, so this guy's bringing the meat in from the hunting place. So that's good. We just need to check this one. I'm starting to like the hunting lodges, and you're picking up from the hunting lodge as well. So New Hope is on the meat distribution point of view. Actually, let me just New Hope meat distribution. Are you actually picking up from the fish farms? Yes, you are. Good. So at the very least, we know that that's actually working now. We've got the fish farms here working. I'm not exactly sure why we've got this here, but what we can do is put New Hope workers on that to see if we can get that finished. Oh, we're in the 4th of February already. Ah. Oh, that was a short winter. So we got that functioning, this functioning. And this little concrete plant, I just want to see if it's actually got... Yeah, so this is back being functional as a pickup point for the bulk supply here. Just want to make sure that is set. These trees. Bulk supply, it's this one, isn't it? Sorry. I'll make sure. Yep. So this guy's got this as a pickup. That should make him a little bit more efficient. What we got here? You need some steel. You've really got the wrong people here, so you get on that. That new construction office really shouldn't be up here. Let's see if we can get that built. Not exactly sure what that is, but anything else up here that needs some general assistance? You need to be built. That needs to be built. That needs to be built. That needs to be built so we can get to that one. What is that? This is actually a full-size gas station here. Why have I got... This is the distro office, right? So we need to get all this built in and functional, because it won't be long before the tractors go out and harvest again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we're going to stick with 5 tractors for the moment, just to see how things are going. probably going to need to make some money because we're going to have to buy some covered holes to bring the crops in. What was here? What is this? Oh, we've got Father Frost's workshop. Bit of a vanity project. Okay, we've got electro components. I mean, technically we're not producing anything. But what we can do is increase that a little bit and see if that gets picked up. But completely honest, I'm not that fussy now because we've got a different focus, because we're now getting to a point where we don't need to depend on the blacksmith, because we've got enough money coming in that we can actually buy stuff should we need it, because the only thing we're now importing is, well, on a regular basis, is mechanical components. And this month so far we've only imported less than 0 tons of meat, so I think that's probably down more to the fact that we're not building that much at the moment. Well, not the key components, electro components and mechanical components, but that will change over time. I must admit, I was hoping to have a bit more of an economy with rails before the Second World War broke out, but we're now in 1938 and we're nowhere near the amount of progress that I was hoping to make. Let me just see here. I'm aware time is also pushing on, so we're going to just give another quick Skype round and then that will be it. So we've nearly finished this cableway. And how is this tower in here? This place just needs workers. Wondering if we can get New Hope workers on here. Bit far. Yep. I was about to overload my construction offices even more, but maybe that isn't such a good idea. And I think this is probably going to be a good point to stop, and then we'll just pick up in the next part once the snow is gone. What I will say is that I can't see this series surviving past the beta test phase with all the changes, because it's not growing at the moment, and then if we start getting collapses due to the fact that we can't implement crime, because we're not going to have the money to build the actual buildings even automatically, I think the lifespan of this series is quite limited now. But having said that, I do want to carry on with the Seven Crosses series, and what we'll be doing is using both series as a test bed, and you never know, but neither of them might not survive this new update. But until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.